Thunderbolts is now in theaters, directed by Jake Schreier. He of Beef, famous on Netflix, and Paper Towns, and a couple other movies. This movie stars Florence Pugh, Sebastian Stan, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Pullman, John-Kamen, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour, Geraldine Viswanathan. This movie's good. I can't believe it. There was a lot of build-up in the marketing to this movie. The trailers were different. There was a lot of focus on the cinematographer of The Green Knight and the director of Beef and the screenwriter of Minari or whatever, someone, the lighting person of Minari, I can't remember. But either way, this movie was marketed very differently. And does the marketing live up to the movie? Kind of, actually. Yeah, I actually can't believe how much I enjoyed this movie. I'm a big Marvel fan. I'm a big MCU fan. I was into the comics. I'm into the movies. It's been very depressing lately, especially coming off of what I do think is the worst Marvel movie in Captain America: Brave New World. To go from that to this, the leap in quality is pretty hilarious, I would say. It's not even comparable. It's very funny that these two movies are in the same universe right now. This movie is very good. This movie is on kind of two levels, I think. It's a movie that is about something that the MCU has never really tackled, which is just like serious themes, I guess is the only way to put it. Mainly depression and loneliness and that kind of feeling of anxiety and just, you know, when you have bad days, the bad days don't feel very good. And it's like, what is the point of these bad days? But then you have good days where you're happy, and then, you know, sometimes you don't know, you have another bad day, and that's basically just depression and anxiety and loneliness and stuff like that. And this is the first time that a Marvel movie has captured this to the degree that they are going for here, and that has to be why they chose Jake Schreier to direct. Beef and Paper Towns are about sad people that don't know how to express themselves and don't know how to deal with that sadness. And Schreier is very good at doing that. And therefore, this movie is quite good at doing that, I think. The two levels of this movie are the one I just talked about. And then the second one is just about like the feeling of sadness that the MCU has had, like post Endgame, post No Way Home, basically, I think is kind of my take. Is like the movie opens with Florence Pugh giving this monologue about how she feels empty inside. She feels bored. She's not sure if she needs like a change of scenery or, you know, everything just feels off with her. And she's very sad and depressed about it. And she misses her sister, the Black Widow. And it does a very, I think it does a good job of being like doubling as an introspection of what the MCU is now and how people are just kind of not into it anymore. Captain America: Brave New World really, really shut a lot of people off, but I think this is going to bring a lot of people back in because it's bringing me back in. And I was on the outs. I was ready to be done with this thing. Even Fantastic Four doesn't have me as excited as other people. After this movie, I think it does have me excited because I'm almost confident that Marvel might actually be back now. It might actually be back. But let's talk about the Thunderbolts, okay? This movie looks very good. For all their A24 marketing stuff, like we got real people to do this stuff, yada, yada, yada. I think it works. This movie, it was filmed on real locations. It's very clear. There's good sets. There's good lighting. There's good costuming. Good stunt work. A lot of these characters, and when I say a lot, I basically mean 99%, I would say, are just punchers and kickers. Florence Pugh is a Black Widow agent. She punches and kicks. Sebastian Stan, he punches and kicks, but has a metal arm. John-Kamen as Ghost, punches and kicks. Wyatt Russell, Captain America, basically punches and kicks. David Harbour, also Super Soldier, punches and kicks. The camera work for these fight scenes that they have it impresses me, I will say, because with all of the, you know, John Wickification of action scenes and kind of a gun fu, as they call it, where, you know, it's just kind of overplayed at this point. I thought this movie gave kind of a fresh, simple kind of take on the action and the fight scene. So I'm very pleased with how the action set pieces were handled. I think it was very good. Let's move on to my favorite part about this movie is the cast. The cast is like kind of unbelievable in this movie. Sebastian Stan. Let's talk about Sebastian Stan. What happened here? What happened to Sebastian Stan? If you would have asked me like 3 to 6 years ago who my least favorite like recurring MCU character and actor was, Sebastian Stan would have been one of my first choices. Bucky Barnes, in the MCU at least, has been like a nothing character to me. He was fine in Captain America, in the first Captain America movie, First Avenger. He's fine in Winter Soldier, but like he drives every single Captain America movie basically, except the first one, sort of. And the whole time, it's one of the reasons that I'm not as high on the Captain America movies as other people, because I don't love the Bucky Barnes, Chris Evans connection like other people do. I just don't. Sebastian Stan, the character of Bucky Barnes, is not worth the risk that Chris Evans as Captain America takes in all these movies and stuff. He makes no impact in the Avengers movies, in Infinity War and Endgame. Like, I do not care about Bucky Barnes in those movies. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, a show I liked at the time, but if I rewatch it, there's almost no shot I like it now. I remember thinking that it was having fun, that show, but ultimately was just like pretty good. I think if I rewatch it now, I think it'd probably be pretty boring. I didn't really enjoy Sebastian Stan's character in that one. I thought it was just like fine. And then all of a sudden, 2024 comes along. The Apprentice, A Different Man. Sebastian Stan's on the campaign trail for the Oscars. He gets an Academy Award. And all of a sudden, he shows up in the Thunderbolts and in Captain America Brave New World for easily the best scene of that movie. And his aura is off the charts. I couldn't believe it. He doesn't have a lot to do in this movie. It's actually very surprising how little he has to do in this movie. He's second build, I think. And he's in like 4 to 6 scenes. Doesn't really go through a character arc. Doesn't have too much dialogue. Is a congressman now, which is a whole other, like, how does that even happen? I don't know. It doesn't matter. He is so unbelievable. He steals every scene that he is in. He's on a level above everybody in this. It's a transformation that I just I would not have ever guessed. Sebastian Stan he might be one of my favorite actors, living actors right now, which is an insane statement that I would have never thought that I would say. I loved him in A Different Man. I thought The Apprentice he was very good in The Apprentice, but I thought it was fine. A Different Man was my movie for him. I loved that performance from him. And then he shows up in this, and I couldn't believe it. It's like he was Robert Downey Jr. or something. Just every time he was on screen and he was talking or in the background, I'm just like, well, what's Sebastian Stan doing? He looks incredible. He's got different hairstyle, different facial hair, kind of. And he's just playing this character so, like, even-keeled. Like, yeah, I am the veteran of the MCU now, and everyone around me knows it, and that's a good thing. And everyone around him is like, we should listen to this guy. He's the veteran of the MCU. It's probably the best performance in the movie. Second best is Florence Pugh. Unsurprisingly, she's the star of this movie. Her and Stan are basically 1A and 1B. She has fantastic chemistry with Bill Pullman. It's not Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman's son, Louis Pullman. And David Harbour, who David Harbour's character from Black Widow, the Red Guardian, I did not love in Black Widow. I did thoroughly enjoy him in this movie. However, David Harbour's not an actor I particularly like have affinity for. Like, I fell off of Stranger Things, and I really haven't seen him in anything else. But this was quite good from him. He is basically the comedic, like, punchline for this movie. He's got a lot of dad energy, and, you know, he's got a funny Russian accent, and so does Florence Pugh, which she's basically had that nailed at this point to where, you know, I buy in. Florence Pugh and David Harbour have fantastic banter throughout this whole movie, basically. and all of the actor interactions play around this theme of depression and loneliness. And again, I've mentioned it already, but everyone kind of has their moment outside of Hannah John-Kamen's Ghost, which is kind of a bummer, but this movie only runs about 2 hours and 5 minutes or so, and I assume they probably cut some of her backstory. All of these characters, the chemistry just works. Like, maybe Wyatt Russell is the weak point of this movie, I guess. Just his banter doesn't really fit in for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know if like the comedic timing was off, or just the like faux Captain America of it all just doesn't really work. He's got like 2 or 3 times where I'm like giving a chuckle or something, or like, oh, that joke didn't land completely flat. But for the most part, he's probably the weak point of the movie. He also doesn't really have an arc. Like, David Harbour kind of has a character arc. Florence Pugh definitely has a character arc. Louis Pullman arc. Even Julia Louis-Dreyfus, I wouldn't call it a character arc, but you know, she starts at a point in the movie and she ends at a slightly different point in the movie. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, always a pleasure to see her on TV or the movies. She's fine in this. I think she's just doing Veep, which, you know, there are worse things to do than your impression of one of the greatest characters in TV history. So that's fine. I have no issue with her, really. She's a little underused. She's absolutely overqualified, I think, to be what the heck? I don't even know what her name is. It doesn't matter. The Contessa of it all. To get into the plot of this movie, I'm not going to spoil too much, but I'll try to keep the spoilers light at least. Basically, start of the movie, Florence Pugh is very sad. She gets sent on a mission by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. All of our main characters, all of our Thunderbolts per se, they end up in one location as basically they are loose ends that JLD's character is trying to tie up the knots on and basically have them all kill each other. They're all assigned to kill one another, and they have a good opening set piece action scene where they're each like fighting each other, but also trying to push the other one out of the way, because like Florence Pugh's target is Ghost, but Ghost's target is Taskmaster, but like Wyatt Russell's target is doesn't matter. So that was a fun thing where they're kind of like moving each other out of the way and just like having one-on-one fights. And then they meet Louis Pullman. His name is Bob in the movie. Sentry. Not a spoiler. The Sentry stuff I think is really well done. The Void, which is his like alter ego and also his like superpower where he sends people to the Void, I think works really well. It's really effective. I had read that Schreier based the Void off of the shadows at memorials for in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which is an incredibly like a very deep pull. I think it's really well done and very emotional and very effective when people are sent to the Void by Sentry. And ultimately we find out Louis Pullman's character is a product of Dreyfus's experimentation, yada, yada, yada. He eventually becomes the villain, and we find out that like the Void is not just like this, like it's different than when you were like snapped in Endgame or Infinity War. It basically takes you to like your darkest times and you have to relive those. It takes you to, you know, your trauma, which is a very popular trope in these 2020s, is like how to deal with trauma, and like a lot of horror movies are trauma based and so on and so forth. And wow, that can be a little overplayed. I actually think it's quite well done. The highest compliment I think I can give this movie is that while it is a surface level take of a thing like depression or anxiety, the movie takes itself very seriously. It never undercuts it, but this movie is also not like sad about it. It's not a sad or a mad movie about it. It doesn't bog itself down in the weight of dealing with those themes, but it also like not at one point there are no like jokes about like Florence Pugh's character is like, I'm very sad, like I think about like ending my life or something, and then like David Harbour's character like farts or something. Like that never happens. There's nothing stupid like that. The themes are taken very seriously, even by these characters that basically all have comedic moments, which I think is a very, very well done aspect of this movie. This is really the first time that Marvel has captured something like this since Iron Man 3 did PTSD, which again was kind of surface level, and by like the 75% way of that movie, they had kind of just like thrown it away anyway. But Iron Man 3, love Iron Man 3, one of the best. But this movie deals with those themes from start to finish, and I have to give it credit there because it never tries to undercut it, and it never kind of hand waves it, and it just deals with it in the best way that it can. And I think it's very, very impressive and when I say very impressive, at the end of the day, it is a comic book. It's an MCU Marvel movie. Like, you're kind of getting what you're getting. But at the same time, I mean, these characters have great chemistry, and they deal with everything in their own ways. And it's just very impressive that they put this together. And for those of you wondering if whether or not this asterisk in the Thunderbolts is appropriate, and like, what's the big deal about the asterisk? Why is there an asterisk next to Thunderbolts? Yeah, I'd say it's a big enough deal. It's not like, I wouldn't call it necessarily groundbreaking, but it's a cool reveal as to why there's an asterisk next to the Thunderbolts, and where the Thunderbolts name comes from in the first place, I think is quite good. So, I'll give it up to him. Yeah, those are my thoughts on the Thunderbolts. I definitely ranted a little bit here, but this movie's so good. Not so good. This movie's quite good. And has kind of a lot to think about, really, I'd say. I haven't thought about a Marvel movie like this in a while. Because there's just a lot going on. There's a lot of moving parts in this, and I think they settle on a story and they stick with it, and it's pretty competently made. I will say that. And it's the first good MCU movie in I'm not even sure how many years. I really, I loved Doctor Strange: The Multiverse of Madness. I didn't like Ant-Man 3. Like, I don't know. When's the last time I was this happy with Marvel? Because we got this. We got Fantastic Four coming up here soon, and I didn't have a ton of hope for Fantastic Four. I'm not gonna lie. I kept my expectations pretty low. And then when this movie, came and went, I thought, man, if they pulled this off, surely they can pull off the Fantastic Four, right? Like, I'm getting my hopes up again, and that might be a problem. That might be a problem. But I don't know yet. We will see. All right, yep, that's my review of the Thunderbolts. Definitely go see this thing in theaters. Highly recommend it. If you care about the MCU at all, you go see this movie. If you care about any of these characters, go see it. I think it's worth your time. Again, this thing's just a hair over 2 hours, so really not too bad of a sit as well. Yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. I'll see you in the next review. Goodbye.